Diana Gabaldon signing. It was kind of scary. We were towards the back, even though we arrived before 11. They caught off the line a couple times behind us. They kept letting more people in, pulling more people out, but we got everything signed. Okay, my battery's about to die, but these are the books. This one is for me, and she wrote in Gaelic, "To your good health," and then for Raven, she wrote, that needs to be repaired. Raven, she wrote, "Best wishes." So yay, signed.
Hi, everybody. Hi, everybody. In case you wandered into the wrong panel, my name is Christopher Lloyd. I'm so glad you guys are here. My name is Vic Mignana. I say it that way because nobody knows how to say it. I bet I got 5 people come up and go, "Hi, I love your work. How do you say your last name?" Mignana. It's much easier than it looks. It's got all these wasted letters. We love you, Vic! Wow, I hate being tethered. And I think this is weird. But it looks like a Star Trek logo. Look. Just take that part out right there. I'm so glad you guys are here. This is my favorite part of any convention. I really, really love the chance to talk with you guys and just interact and answer questions. And are you making magic for me, man?
Oh, boy.
Are you dressing it? Oh, you're just dressing it. He's dressing it.
Aww.
Thank you. That's so nobody tripped. What's wrong with me today? I'm in a mood. I don't even know.
Oh, boy.
You know what? Can I tell you guys, Phoenix Comic-Con is one of my favorite events in the planet. A lot of you guys wrote me about my music CDs and asked me if I was going to bring some of my music CDs. For those of you that don't know, I've been writing and producing music twice as long as I've been voice acting. And I've also done a lot of theme songs for anime series. And I have those CDs at my table. And I hope you guys will come down and flood the table after the panel. I would love for all the real celebrities to look across at the anime voice actors and go, "What the hell? I'm a superstar. How come there's so many people over there?" Represent, anime fans, represent.
Yeah!
I'm not kidding. I always tease, like I'll be in the green room with some like real celebrity, and I'll be bragging about how you guys are so awesome. And so yeah, you guys are the best, and I love kind of throw it in their faces. In a sweet way.
Aww.
Also, I have something exciting to tell you in regard to the music. A couple of years ago, I was doing a convention appearance in Houston, Texas. And I was going to be doing a live concert. How many of you have ever seen any of my concerts? Anyone seen any of my live concerts? I did one, didn't I? A while back. I think it was 1971. Anyway, what? What? Do another one? Well, see, now that's what I wanted to talk to you about. I was doing this concert in Houston, Texas, and the director of the convention called me ahead of time and he said, "Listen, we are really pulling out all the stops for your concert. We've got intelligent lighting that like follows you around and it's colored, and like all kinds of moving lights and fog machines,
Oh
and
my.
HD cameras and all kinds of cool stuff. And so your concert's going to be really great." And I started thinking, man, this would be the perfect time to shoot a live concert DVD.
Ooh.
Oh, wait, it gets better.
Oh my.
So we shot this concert, and it sounded great, the audience was great, it looked great. If you've seen any of my concerts, you know that years ago, while we were recording the first Full Metal Alchemist, I fell in love with the show, and I wanted to cosplay. I mean, I've cosplayed since I was a little kid, but I wanted to cosplay as Ed. Now, the sensible side of my brain was like, that's foolish. You're normal size. But I came up with an idea, with a story, whereby a grown man could be turning into an anime character. And then I asked some of the other voice actors from Full Metal if they would like to be in this with me. And we got together one weekend in Houston, Texas, and we made something called Full Metal Fantasy.
Yeah!
How many of you have seen Full Metal Fantasy?
Yeah!
Look around the room. Not many. The reason for that is because it's never been available online, it's never been for sale. I've only showed it at conventions, and I show it in concert. I'll show it, and then I'll come out on stage, and I'll sit at the piano and perform the Brothers theme live. You guys know the Brothers theme?
Yeah!
How can I repay you, brother mine? I love that song so much. And so, when I was putting this concert DVD together, I thought, oh my gosh, this would be the perfect opportunity to make Full Metal Fantasy available to the fans. So the concert DVD features, it's never been available before, features Full Metal Fantasy. You can own it and see all the voice actors cosplaying as their characters. Let me give you a little preview. You watching? Here's me as Edward Elric. I'm in here! It's a parody, and it's fun.
How much is it?
Huh?
How much is it?
$85,000. Actually, it's 20. Oh, and there's something else on the DVD. I forgot to tell you. Long before there was an American Idol, there was a show called Star Search. Does anybody remember Star Search? Ed McMahon. It was the premier talent show in America. Well, most people don't know this, but I was actually a male vocalist singing challenger on Star Search in 1993. Half the audience was like, I wasn't even born! Thanks for that. But it was classic 93, man. I had a mullet. And I wore a purple double-breasted suit.
Oh, man.
Probably as close to Tamaki as I will ever be. but I didn't win.
You won in our hearts.
I'll hunt those judges down. I didn't win, and it was fine. I didn't expect I would win, but...
They missed out.
What?
They missed out.
I love you. I didn't win, and I was kind of embarrassed, you know? So I thought to myself, yes, I have a video of it, but no one will ever see it. You know, and I packed it away in a box somewhere. And as I was putting the DVD together, the concert DVD, somebody said to me, hey, what bonus features are you going to put on your DVD? And I said, DVDs do have bonus features, that's a good point. I don't know. And she was like, you should put your Star Search appearance on there. I was like, shut your pie hole. That's the worst idea I've ever heard. But then I thought, you know what? You might as well face your shame, you know? Face your humiliation. And so that is also on the concert DVD. So if you're ever feeling low, put that on and it'll make everything funny. And we're nerds.
Yeah,
Just like you.
yeah.
And you're in good company, I promise you.
But you're so much prettier.
What?
So much prettier.
Oh no, you're pretty, baby. Is there anything else I need to tell them? Tim, anything? Anybody?
Can you tell us how Colonel Mustang looks in a miniskirt?
No, not that. He doesn't look as good as you, though, my friend. That's for sure. That's one of the things I meant to tell you, is new projects that I'm working on.
Yes.
Yes!
The most exciting one. The most exciting one is a show called Free. Now, you guys, I'm so excited to be a part of it. So excited that I actually cosplayed. I did it. I cosplayed as Ring. Mars, you want to see a picture of me as Ring? Suckers. Me and Mars right now.
Oh my! Oh my!
Where are you? Here, Mars, check it out. Wait.
Oh, is that Twitter too?
You know, you're so cute. I may show you too. Ready, Mars? Boom. Straight from Mars, everybody. Oh my God. Stop. Don't say that. It's embarrassing. Where's my boyfriend over here?
Oh my God, yes!
Over here, my little... Oh my God, you're naked! What the hell, bro? He's ready to be in free. What do you think? Yes! Give it up for David!
Oh, yes, me.
Wonderful Margaret Dunlap. The awesome Melissa Marr. The fantastic...
The flatulent.
I was going to go for superlative.
Too many souls.
Yeah.
and the awesome sauce Max Gladstone.
Wow. Awesome.
First, I thought we'd start with you guys telling us a little bit about yourselves so that everybody kind of knows who you guys are. I'm hoping they all do, but just in case.
As you said, Jason Huff. Was I awesome? I can't remember what my... Okay, well, let's just go with that.
You're awesome,
everybody.
Jason.
All in favor? No. I wrote the Dire Earth cycle, which started with the Darwin Elevator. That was my first book release a couple years ago. My new book comes out in August. It's called Zero World. They're all science fiction. Before becoming a writer, I was a game designer, so I did a lot of world building in the game industry. And I was also a 3D artist and animator, which had to do a lot with character design and things like that. So.
My name is Margaret Dunlap. I write largely for the small and smaller screens, television and new media, including Middleman, a little bit of Eureka, and the Lizzie Bennett Diaries.
Yeah, can we just get a woo?
A little bit of Eureka.
Middleman rocks.
Thank you. God bless you. Currently, I am one of 4 authors. One of the other ones is Max Gladstone down there, writing for Book Burners, the upcoming fiction serial on Serial Box Publishing. It is supernatural adventure story, new episode every week, but it's in prose, not on film, so it's cheaper to make.
I need to talk to you guys about that.
Yeah.
I'm Melissa Marr. I write for all ages. Best known for the Wicked Lovely series, which is fairies in the modern world. It's YA. In addition, I have adult Weird West called The Arrivals, Graveminder, which is horror adult, and a picture book for babies called Bunny-Roo, as well as a middle grade series with Kelly Armstrong about Norse mythology. So the only consistency among what I do is it all pretty much involves complicated world building, except the picture book for babies, which, you know, sadly at that age they just don't care yet.
They just don't get into like the currencies of the different. They've gotten over it. They've gotten over it.
The economics of spot are just totally...
We're working on it though.
Why spot?
I am Stephen Blackmore. I am the author of the Eric Carter series. It's an urban fantasy noir series about a necromancer who comes back, modern day, who comes back to Los Angeles to solve the murder of his sister and gets wrapped up in many supernatural things involving Mexican folk gods and goddesses, and he sees ghosts, talks to ghosts. It's violent and messy, and a lot of swearing. It's really good. That's me.
I started it last night. There's
It's really good.
There is a lot of swear. You haven't, like the first one, there are like 3 dick references in the first thing. Oh, there are more instances of fuck than there are pages. Well, yeah.
There are children in the audience.
That would be, yeah.
Your audience may be under 18.
Hours.
First person, no less.
All the chafing.
That's what the magic is for. Anyway. Hi, I'm Max Gladstone. You're in the right place.
Is that it? That's all you got?
Yes, what? No, keep going. Don't step on my mic time, Jason. It's my mic time. So I write the craft sequence of necromantic legal thrillers. They're novels set in this sort of a post-industrial fantasy land.
Is there a difference depending on what genre, whether it's long novels or short stories or which?
Anyone want to go?
Sure, I'm going to be the guy who dives on the false dichotomy grenade. Like, both of these things are incredibly important. If either one of them is broken, it's not working. Your story is not going to work. That said, there are definitely stories that lean more into building a complicated world, and there are stories that lean more into building complex characters. And really, you're doing both of these things regardless of what sort of story you're writing and what genre you're writing in. If you're in fantasy, you're building a world, but honestly, Raymond Carver is building a world in every single short story. He's building a world where everybody is an alcoholic and you drink 3 times before you get to the second sentence, but nevertheless a world that obeys certain rules.
Everything is in subtext.
Everything is in subtext, exactly. Balancing both and letting the world building feed into the characters and letting the characters then feed back into the world you're building really becomes the name of the game. For me, anyway.
No, I think that applies too, but I think the amount that you do of world building, honestly, I think you need to do more characterization than you do world building, because the characters are what drive the plot in the world. Can drive the plot too, but the character moves through that world, so that will inform decisions and so on. But I honestly think characterization is more important. Also, for myself, I set a lot of all my stuff is in, for the most part, real world Los Angeles, and so. I've never heard that tone.
We transition to magical land.
Real world Los Angeles.
So for me, that my world building, aside from things with magic and all that, but also building Los Angeles for people who have never been there, that's important too. But overall, I really think that the characters are going to trump world building. So there.
And just that, the character's relationship with the world building is where it's really at. I started with the urban fantasy, and in that case, the world building in some ways is a little easier because it's the world we live in. We understand how the economics works here, okay? And so it's layering on top of. And then I went to an alternate alien world where I had to figure out the basics of everything from how do you navigate the city? What is the transportation structure? What is the currency structure? Now, most of what I'm figuring out with world building becomes stuff that isn't going to be in the book. I only need to know it for the purposes of the character walking through it. So I felt like the world building was a lot more complex, but it was relevant in terms of how the character is able to move in the world. So in that case, the relationship between world building and character was a lot more critical because the only way that world building was relevant was in the context of that. But at the same time, that's how I'm conveying the world to the reader. And it seems like that should be not as complicated in a contemporary. So my next book I went on to is a serial killer book in the South, where I live, where my graduate degree is. World building should be perfectly easy, but it's really not, because you would not believe how many people have never been to the American South. And my editors in New York were utterly perplexed. My favorite question from them to grasp how much you really still have to explain in a contemporary is, what is primer gray? I don't know what color that is. Do you guys know what primer gray is, please?
Yeah.
Okay, good. See? But you have to still explain that because some people live in New York.
Surprisingly, I've been to New York. I know this.
I refuse to believe it exists.
Get
But to me, I think that really is the fascinating thing about world building, because I think when you say world building, we tend to think in terms of fantasy and science fiction. How does magic work in your world? What is the rotational period and the gravitational pull on your alien world? But even if you look at something like John Grisham does a tremendous amount of world building. If you look at The Firm, that book, a large part of it is you are entering into this strange world of a very high-class, high-powered law firm, and it is as much about exploring the milieu as it is about the weird corruption that's going on there. And I think that sort of, certain stories like Gulliver's Travels is sort of the classical example where, the purpose of your story is kind of to walk your audience through this strange land that you've created, and whether that is, the underbelly of Los Angeles, or it is, high-rise penthouse living in New York, or it's, a complete alien planet, you create that setting, and setting and world, I think, is usually most important as a generator for conflict for your characters. The situation where your characters find themselves is what makes their lives difficult, and that's really the key to building in your setting and your world, I think.
Yeah, just to echo what Melissa said a little bit, in terms of the world building is experienced through your character's eyes. So in order to facilitate that, one of the things I do before I start writing a book is I write a diary for each character of what they did the day before the book starts. And like from dawn to dusk. What's that?
That is so much work.
No, these are like one page each. But it's a way for me to do the world building like step by step almost. And just each step I have to think about, well, what do they eat for breakfast? And, how do they do all these things? And that really helps me do the world building from the point of view of the characters. And then I'll take the high road and say that I think it's story that's what's important, and these two things just inform that. So.